Wow, that's such a cool idea to build. Why didn't I figure it out myself? Let's learn how to build an elementary house.
Round 1.
I want my elemental house to feel like it grew straight out of the ground, so I use dirt for almost everything. I start with the floor first because a good house needs a clear base before the walls go up. Dirt is a simple block, but it makes a lot of sense for an earth house. It matches the land, it looks natural, and it helps the build blend into the hill instead of fighting with the biome around it. After that, I raise the walls and keep the shape pretty small because little houses often feel more cozy and safe. I leave spaces for windows and put glass in them right away. Glass is important because even an earth house needs light inside. Without windows, the room would feel dark and heavy. Then I go up and build the roof from grass blocks. I make it like a little pyramid because a sloped roof sheds rain better than a flat top. And the pyramid shape also makes the tiny house look taller. The grass roof is my favorite part because it makes the whole build look alive. Now I finish the front and make the house feel more welcoming. I place a door at the entrance because even a simple earth home should have a proper opening and not just a hole in the wall. Next to the entrance, I add a torch. A torch is tiny, but it does two very important jobs. It lights the doorway so the house looks warm at night, and it helps people find the entrance quickly. In front of the door, I build a small path. Paths are useful in design because they guide movement and keep the front area from looking random. A house always looks better when the land around it feels connected to the build. After that, I use bone meal to grow grass and flowers around the house and even on top of the roof. That decoration is perfect for an earth element theme. Flowers soften the rough dirt walls, and tall grass helps the house disappear into nature. My little elemental house is tiny, but it feels peaceful, natural, and very alive. Phew, it took so much effort. Great, my elemental house is ready.
Hello?
Hey, Banana Kid, look, I built it. Do you like?
No.
What? You can't even call it a house? Does it look more like an abandoned barn?
Oh.
It's a shame, actually. Maybe then you'll try to build the best elemental house yourself?
Yay!
They ran to the place. This is where your building will be. Are you ready?
Yahoo!
Then go ahead.
Round 2.
I am watching Banana Kid build a water house today, and right away, I can tell he wants something much fancier than my dirt home. He uses special water blocks, including full blocks, stairs, and slabs. That is a really cool choice because normal water is hard to shape into a house. But these special blocks let him keep the flowing look of water while still building clean walls. He starts with the front walls of the first floor, and then builds the front walls of the second floor above them. Building the front first is smart because the front face tells everyone what kind of house this is going to be. It works like the cover of a book. He leaves spaces for windows as he goes, which is better than punching holes later. Planning windows early helps the wall stay balanced. He even places oak doors right away. Oak is a nice warm contrast to all that blue water, so the front does not feel too cold. I think the bright brown wood helps make the water house feel more friendly and less like a giant puddle with walls. After the front is standing, Banana climbs upward and starts a piece of the roof using water stairs. Stairs are perfect for roofs because they create slopes, and slopes are important if you want a house to look elegant instead of boxy. Water stairs make the roof look almost like a frozen wave rising over the front of the house. That is a very good design move for an elemental build. Then he goes around to the back and starts placing the floor out of more water blocks. I laugh a little because the whole thing looks like he is building on top of a magic swimming pool, but it actually makes sense. A floor defines the footprint of the house, and a clear footprint helps all the later walls line up correctly. Water blocks on the floor also keep the whole theme consistent. If he switched to a dry stone floor, the house would lose some of its identity. Banana makes the floor broad enough to support 2 stories, which is smart because tall houses need enough base area, or they start looking too skinny and unstable. Now Banana goes back to the lower level and begins laying out the wall outline for the first floor. I can see he is thinking carefully about structure because a 2-story house needs strong lower walls to visually support the weight above. Even in Minecraft, builds look better when the bottom feels able to carry the top. He traces the outer shape with those water blocks and keeps the corners neat. Corners matter a lot in transparent or translucent builds because when the block is partly see-through, messy edges become much easier to notice. The water theme is looking really unique already. Instead of a normal solid house, this one feels like it was carved from a magic wave. I also noticed that the water blocks reflect light in a soft way, which makes the shape easier to read in daylight. That reflective look is great for an elemental build because it gives motion to a static structure. Banana is not saying a word, but his material choice is doing all the talking for him right now. Once the lower walls feel right, Banana moves up and starts making the main triangular roof. He uses water stairs again and begins with the left side first. Starting one side at a time is a good building habit because it lets him check the angle and height before he copies the same shape onto the other side. Roof symmetry is very important. If one side rises differently from the other, the whole house looks crooked, and that ruins the calm feeling that a water build should have. He stacks the stairs carefully so the line climbs up in a smooth slope. A triangle roof is a strong choice because it helps rain run off and gives the house a classic silhouette. But using water makes it feel much more magical than a normal cottage. I tell Banana the roof looks like a splash frozen in the air, and he makes a happy little sound. It really does look like moving water, even though it is standing still as a proper roof. After the left side works, Banana repeats the process on the right side and closes the roof shape into a proper peak. This is where the house starts looking complete from far away. A finished roof gives a build identity because people often recognize houses by the roofline before they notice anything else. He keeps the right side matched to the left so the peak sits nicely in the center. That symmetry helps the house feel balanced, and balance is especially important on a transparent-looking material like water, where the eye easily spots mistakes. The triangular top also makes the house look taller and a little more elegant, which fits the elemental theme well. Water can be calm, but it can also be dramatic, and this roof captures both feelings at once. I walk around to check the profile, and the shape reads really nicely from the side. Banana somehow turned a slippery material into something neat and architectural, and I have to admit that is pretty impressive for a guy who only answers me with sounds. Now, Banana goes to the rear wall under the roof and starts filling the open space there. Closing the back like this is important because roof shapes often leave awkward holes if you only focus on the front. A house needs to look complete from every side, especially if it stands in the open where people can walk all around it. He fills the area under the roof with more water blocks so the whole upper shape stays consistent. Then he adds a small balcony at the back using blue glass panes and another door. I really like this part. Blue glass panes are thin, so they work very well as railings. Railings should protect the edge without looking too heavy, and glass panes do exactly that. The blue color also blends with the water walls, so the balcony feels like part of the same magical element instead of an extra piece stuck on later. A back balcony is a good design choice too, because it makes the second floor feel useful and gives the house a more luxurious look. With the back done, Banana returns to the first floor and finishes the rest of the walls. He keeps using the special water blocks so the whole lower story stays consistent with the roof and the front. Consistency is a big deal in elemental builds. If too many different materials appear without a reason, the element loses its power and the build feels confused. After the walls are complete, he starts putting blue glass panes into the window openings. That is a very smart move. blue panes look like clear water reflections, but they are still easy to read as windows. They also help separate inside from outside without breaking the color theme. A water house should still feel livable, and windows are a big part of that. They let in light and make a two-story building feel less heavy. I tell Banana that his house is starting to look like a magic aquarium you can sleep in. He seems happy with that, and honestly, it is not even a bad description. At the front, Banana is not satisfied with the plain wall under the roof, so he adds more water blocks there and changes the shape into something more unusual. I like this decision a lot because elemental builds should not always follow normal house rules too closely. Water is fluid, so the front of the house should have some flowing feeling too. By adding extra blocks under the roof, he creates a curved and slightly strange shape that makes the house look alive. It almost feels like the front wall is rippling upward. This is a great lesson in design. Sometimes a small change to the silhouette can make a whole build feel more special. A basic square front is easy to understand, but a shaped front is easier to remember. Banana is giving the house personality without changing the main structure too much. That balance matters. If every line became weird, the house would feel messy, but one unusual front section makes it magical instead of chaotic. Then Banana does something very funny and very on theme. He pours a couple of buckets of real water around parts of the front. That instantly adds movement to the build. I know some people would avoid flowing water because it can look messy, but here it actually helps the elemental idea. The solid water blocks give the house structure, and the flowing water gives it life. It is like the difference between bones and skin. The fixed blocks hold the shape, and the flowing water reminds everyone what element this house belongs to. He is careful not to flood the whole thing, which is good. Too much water would hide the shape and make the details hard to see. Just a little water running down the front adds drama and sparkle. I tell Banana that now his house looks like it is waking up and stretching after a nap. He squeaks proudly and keeps adjusting the streams until the front looks balanced and playful. Banana keeps circling the build and making sure the windows, walls, and roof all line up nicely. I can tell he is checking the house from different angles, and that is something good builders always do. A structure can look amazing from the front and still be awkward from the side or back. His house is now clearly a two-story water home with a strong front, a full triangular roof, a balcony, and glowing blue windows. The oak doors still help a lot too, because warm wood gives the build a homey touch. Without the doors, everything might feel too cold and magical, almost like a monument instead of a place to live. Now it looks both magical and cozy. I think the nicest thing about this build is that Banana did not just make a normal house and paint it blue. He actually used water shapes, watery flow, and translucent materials to make it feel like the element itself became architecture. By the end, Banana's house really does feel like a water spirit turned into a home. The special water stairs and slabs made it possible to create roof lines and edges that still feel soft and fluid. The blue glass panes help the windows and balcony stay light instead of bulky. The oak doors gave it a warm center, and those little streams of real water made the front feel alive. I tell Banana this is one of his coolest elemental builds yet, because it teaches something useful.
Ta-da! Yay!
Where did everyone run off to? Hey guys, what's all that noise?
Banana Kid and I are building an elementary house, JJ. Who did it better?
Oh, both of your buildings look great, but I think it's up to the audience to decide who did the best.
Yes, JJ, you're right. Maybe then you have comments on the construction of Banana Kid?
Yes, there are a couple of comments. What's with the weird shape of your house? It doesn't look like anything I know at all.
I totally agree with you, JJ. Maybe you will build an elementary house.
Okay, then let's run to the place as soon as possible.
JJ, good luck to you. We'll wait in the house.
But?
Thanks, guys. Then I'm starting. Round 3. For my elemental build, I am not making a simple lava house. I am constructing a true lava magic tower, something that feels like a wizard fortress born from fire and the nether. I begin with the outline of the first floor using lava blocks, establishing a strong circular base. A tower benefits greatly from a round or near-round footprint because the shape naturally suggests vertical growth. Round forms also handle narrowing better than square ones, which will matter when I taper the upper levels. Along the outside, I add vertical beams made of lava blocks. These beams are visually important because they break the wall into sections and make the structure look taller. In architectural design, vertical lines naturally pull the eye upward. That is exactly what I want in a magical tower. The glowing orange-red material immediately communicates heat, danger, and power. Even before the upper floors exist, the first level already feels like the base of something ancient, unstable, and full of elemental energy. Once the outer frame is clear, I fill the inside face of the walls with more lava blocks. A complete wall surface is important here because lava-themed builds rely heavily on color intensity. If there were too many gaps too early, the tower would lose some of its visual force and feel fragile instead of powerful. I want the lower floor to look dense and hot, like a core of fire trapped in stone-like form. Then I use a command to change the ground under the tower into nether blocks. This is a very effective environmental trick. The terrain beneath a fire structure should support the story of the build. Regular grass or dirt would make the tower feel dropped into the world. Nether blocks create a scorched, magical foundation, as if the heat of the tower changed the land itself. At the entrance, I install large doors. Big doors matter on a wizard tower because they suggest importance, and they help the base floor feel ceremonial rather than just practical. Now I continue raising the walls and start the real tower shape. Instead of keeping one constant width, I gradually reduce the diameter as I build higher. This tapering is one of the most important design choices in the entire structure. A tower that narrows as it rises looks more elegant, more stable, and more magical. In real engineering, reducing upper mass also makes sense because lighter top sections put less visual load on the base. Even in Minecraft, viewers expect tall things to feel balanced. I keep the reduction smooth rather than sudden so the tower reads as one continuous form. Between the main lava wall sections, I begin adding nether brick fences as decorative trim. These dark fences are excellent because they contrast strongly with the bright lava material and create thin, sharp details. Thin details are very important on large glowing builds. Otherwise, the whole structure can become one bright blur. The tower now feels taller, richer, and far more deliberate. As the tower grows, I pay close attention to rhythm. Rhythm in architecture means repeating elements in a way that guides the eye. Here, the repeating lava sections and dark fence accents create that rhythm. I continue lifting the upper walls while keeping the curve and taper consistent. A magical tower should not look random. It should feel like every level was shaped by intention, spellcraft, and controlled energy. I also make sure the lower part remains slightly broader than the middle, because a strong base makes the full height easier to believe. This is especially important with a bright material such as lava, which visually feels active and unstable. Stable geometry helps balance that unstable color language. By now, the build already reads as a wizard tower rather than a simple house. The narrowing silhouette, the vertical accents, and the altered ground all work together. The tower is not only fiery, it has identity. It feels like a place where a fire mage would actually live and study. Higher up, I create projecting roof-like sections on multiple sides of the tower. These side roof forms are useful for two reasons. First, they interrupt the long vertical rise and stop the tower from becoming visually monotonous. Second, they provide natural places for windows and decorative transitions between levels. I use lava stairs, slabs, and full blocks to shape these roof sections because mixed block forms create softer, more believable curves. Full blocks alone would make the edges too stiff. I also open spaces for windows and install red glass panes in them. Red glass is perfect here. It allows light and visibility while keeping the fiery palette intact. Regular clear glass would feel too neutral, but red glass makes the windows look like glowing magical vents. These windows help the tower feel inhabited and functional instead of sealed like a monument. The side roofs and the windows together make the upper portion much richer. The structure now has layers, depth, and a stronger fantasy silhouette. I keep narrowing the tower further above those side roof sections. This gradual reduction in width is one of the reasons tall magical builds can feel so elegant. When each upper level becomes slightly smaller, the eye reads the whole structure as ascending energy. It is almost like the tower is reaching upward in controlled flames. I continue using lava blocks, slabs, and stairs to maintain a smooth transition. Smoothness matters because sudden width changes look like stacked boxes, while gradual changes look like architecture. I also keep bringing in nether brick fences where needed to add dark outlines and edge definition. Contrast is doing a lot of work here. Lava alone creates power, but contrast creates readability. Without the dark fence lines, the tower might glow too uniformly. With them, every level feels separated and intentional. At this stage, the build is already towering over the landscape. It clearly communicates the fire element, but it also feels magical, noble, and strangely refined. Eventually, I reach the highest level and build the final roof. This top section is smaller than the rest, which is exactly what a tower needs. A compact cap makes the whole structure feel complete. If the very top stayed too wide, the tower would lose its upward tension. I shape the roof carefully from lava materials, so it looks like a crown of fire rather than a plain lid. Around the edge, I place more nether fences. These fences act like battlements or magical railing, and they also give the top floor a safer, more finished appearance. Then I add a flag made of nether blocks. A flag is a small thing, but it matters greatly for storytelling. It turns the tower into a claimed place with identity, almost like the banner of a fire sorcerer. Because the flag uses nether materials, it feels tied to the scorched ground and dark accents below. The upper silhouette is now complete, and from far away, the tower looks like a fiery beacon of magic. With the exterior height finished, I move inside and create the central support system. I build a vertical column all the way to the top from nether blocks. This central pillar is very useful, both structurally and visually. In a round tower, a center column helps organize the interior and gives the eye a clear anchor. Around it, I build a spiral staircase from lava slabs. Slabs are ideal for spirals because they create shallower step heights and allow a smoother climb in a tight circular space. A spiral is also the best stair type for a tower since it follows the geometry naturally and saves floor space. From a design standpoint, this staircase also reinforces the magical feeling. A straight stair in a round fire tower would feel too plain. A spiral movement upward feels ceremonial, almost like climbing through levels of heat and spell energy. The inside is now starting to match the drama of the outside. I continue the spiral staircase upward, making sure there is enough headroom at each turn. Headroom is important in any tall build. A staircase may look good in plan view, but if the ceiling cuts into the path, movement becomes awkward. I also keep the central pillar thick enough to feel important, but not so thick that it steals all the room. This balance matters in compact vertical interiors. A tower should feel enclosed, but not cramped. As I rise, I check how the staircase interacts with future floor lines. Planning circulation early prevents ugly last-minute fixes. The lava slabs create a warm, glowing path upward, while the nether core keeps the structure grounded. This mix of bright path and dark center is a strong design contrast. It guides the player both physically and visually. By now, climbing inside the tower feels like entering the heart of a fire spell, which is exactly the atmosphere I wanted from the start. Outside, I decide to add a secondary access path. I build exterior steps made from lava blocks leading up toward roughly the second floor. This gives the tower a more dramatic entrance sequence and makes the outside feel less like a single sealed cylinder. External stairs are especially useful on fantasy towers because they add movement to the silhouette. A vertical wall alone can be impressive, but a path climbing around or toward it tells a stronger story. I shape the steps so they rise cleanly and then fill the side gaps with more blocks. Filling those side voids is important because floating stairs with open holes can look unfinished. I want this outer stair to feel built into the tower, not attached as an afterthought. At the top of that route, I place another door. A second entry point adds complexity and makes the tower feel more like a layered magical residence than a one-room monument. After handling the outside stairs, I return indoors and lay the second floor platform. I create a clear upper floor inside the tower and then continue the walls around it using lava blocks. This is a very important moment because it turns the tower from one tall, hollow shell into a multi-level building with distinct zones. Floors are what make large vertical builds livable. Without them, all the height becomes wasted, empty air. I keep the second floor edge aligned with the outer taper, so the room feels centered and intentional. The lava walls on this level keep the elemental identity strong, but the platform itself provides a calmer surface for furniture later. In a tower, each level should feel like a chapter. The ground floor can be practical and dramatic, while the upper levels can become more private or more ceremonial. By installing this floor now, I create that separation and make the structure much more useful as a home. I also refine the second floor walls and make sure the openings, windows, and stair arrival all work together. Good interior planning is about relationships. The staircase should arrive in a place that makes sense, the walls should leave enough room for furniture, and the windows should still provide light and color without blocking movement. Because the tower is round and tapering, this takes more care than in a plain square house. Curved walls can make room layout tricky. That is why I smooth the important areas and keep the walk path around the level clear. The lava surfaces still dominate the space, but the added floor and finished walls make the upper interior feel much more controlled. It no longer feels like just the inside of a shell. It feels like a room waiting for purpose. This room will be perfect for a lounge-like magical second level, while the floor below can hold the more practical living and crafting functions. Now it is time for furniture on the main level. I begin with a bed, a nightstand, and a lamp. Even in a fiery wizard tower, the most basic living needs come first. A bed defines a sleeping zone, the nightstand adds order, and the lamp is essential because strong local light makes furniture corners feel intentional. I also place anvils with leaves for decoration. That combination works surprisingly well. Then I install a television and a sofa. After that, I add wardrobes for clothes and shoes. Storage furniture is always valuable in a compact circular build because it helps use the wall line efficiently. The main floor now feels like a real home hidden inside an elemental monument. I continue the furnishing with more practical stations. I place different chests for organized storage, then add a crafting table and furnaces. A fire tower should absolutely contain heavy utility features, and furnaces fit the theme especially well because they connect naturally to heat and transformation. Then I set up a brewing stand and a cauldron with water. After that, I place armor stands with armor. Armor stands are excellent in a tower because they make the walls feel inhabited and prepared for danger. They also help the room feel taller by adding upright forms among the lower furniture. The main floor now combines survival, magic, storage, and comfort in a balanced way, all within the intense lava and nether palette. On the second floor, I take a different interior approach. Instead of filling it with many unrelated objects, I place orange sofas in a ring along the walls. This is a very strong design decision for a circular room. Curved rooms often work best when the furniture follows the wall line rather than fighting it. By placing the sofas around the perimeter, I preserve the open center and make the room feel like a magical lounge or council chamber. Orange is also an ideal color here because it belongs to the same warm family as lava, but it is softer and more comfortable. The second floor becomes a relaxation and gathering area above the more practical base level below. That contrast between functions is excellent interior design. Not every room should try to do everything. With the ring of seating complete, the tower now feels fully resolved. Outside, it is a blazing magical fortress. Inside, it is a real elemental home built around heat, height, and dramatic style. Great! My elemental house is ready. It's time for me to show it to the guys.
Wow, JJ, you've got such an incredible lava castle. I think that's what the most powerful wizard of all should live in.
Thank you guys. I am very glad that you liked my building. Friends, be sure to write in the comments whose building you liked the most. Well, I think it's time for us to finish.
Yes, JJ, you're right.
Subscribe and like. Bye-bye.